I'm here to continue my biography. It's a very long process, but I hope I can remember everything or most of it. Well, last time I ended up with my investment in America. In fact, that investment or that project I undertook in America defined my ultimate ambition in life. That business that I opened named Ganam Textiles and EJ Trading Company. If you remember, the main purpose of the business was to import African product or African cultural products to the Americas. And it gives me a whole lot of experience with the black people in America, because essentially everything I was selling was geared towards the black populace, the American blacks. And I try as much as possible to gain knowledge of what I'm selling so that I can explain to my customers, the black Americans who are not actually from Africa, but their ancestors had been in America for all these years, and I saw that they want to be part of us, part of Africans. So when they come to buy anything, they ask me questions about the product. Things like this seat I'm sitting on, Ashanti stool. I try to explain as much as I can to tell them the source of the stool, and also the cloth we wear, the Kente cloth and other printed fabrics, and also other African cultural products. This thing we call a beduaba, I don't know how you call it, a wood-carved image of a man or a female, or wood-carved something, wood-carving products. I try to understand why they made them, what's the symbol of it, and it was a big job. That means that I have to learn the cultural aspect of that product I'm selling, meaning that if I'm selling something from Ivory Coast, I have to know something about that, because my customers will ask me questions. And I was I was collecting cultural products from Ivory Coast, from Ghana, from Senegal, what else? Oh boy, I've forgotten a little bit. And also that which is produced in Europe, the fabrics, which Europeans introduced to us in the early 19th century and late 18th century, the cotton print products, which has become part of our cultural products now. So, in other words, I try to learn the purpose of these cultural things. So my studies ended me with, especially as an Ashanti, it ended me up to come back home to ask questions, the elders and traditional people, how these products, when they were produced and why they named them, what they named them, and so forth and so on. Like this shirt I'm wearing, it represents a stool, Ashanti stool, wood-carved stool. So I designed a stool and created a trademark, and I called it Ashanti. with registered mark on here. I had to register this with U.S. Commerce Department. It cost me a lot of money and time, but it was necessary because I had learned something about this too, and I could tell my customers what it stands for. So I had to do this registered trademark. Also, I became involved in Kente cloth. There was so much questions coming to my shop asking why Kente cloth, and also when people order it, they ask me the significance of this. Sometimes they know what I'm talking about. They specifically order a Guinea or, all kinds of designs. And in my studies, I thought I had to write a book. I collected so much information about Kente cloth in particular, and I had to write my first book, which I call Kente Cloth, Introduction to History. That was published in 1992. That's my first book. And if you could see here, you'll see that my trademark is in the book. The Ashanti trademark. Incidentally, when I first registered it, the spelling was Ashanti. With this E, I made it I. The U.S. Commerce Department rejected it. That no, you can't register a known name, a name that represents something. You cannot claim it that it's yours. It's a generic word. So they asked me to change the spelling or find something else. So I changed the I into E. So if you see the spelling, it's Ashanti instead of Ashanti, Ashante, instead of Ti. I wanted to do it, so I had to find a way to do it. So this is my own registered trademark. And I brought that into my first book. The book is Kente Cloth, Introduction to History. And it contains a whole lot of pictures I took when I came to Bongre. The book is still available. I think you can get it even in the internet. And here you can see I was promoting my book with a Kwame Nkrumah's picture wearing Kente cloth. I was so interested to let the public know the purpose of this cloth. And it was selling very well. My product was moving so well that further I became a little famous. I remember being invited to Queensboro TV to talk about my materials. Also, one of the radio stations, I think at the time the host was Dr. D's, one of the FM stations. I used to go there every Saturday to publicize my African products. Well, in short, all America, it's a country that opens a way to anybody who has an objective in life. And I saw that and I tapped it. And through that, I was able to do a whole lot of things. So that is just one of my products. And then the biggest of the works was that dealing with blacks over there, the blacks saw that they are like me. And I saw that I'm like them. We are all the same. We come from the same genetic content. So I studied them so well for about over 10 years that I did this shop. I saw that blacks over there and blacks in Africa, including even blacks I met in Europe, we have a common denominator. Our behavior was exactly the same. comparing us to non-blacks. So my experience and knowledge of the black person's image, I decided to write a book. And that book is called Most by Nature. Most by Nature. I saw that black people are humans like any other human group. But most of us behave in a very given way. Most blacks, I saw that, don't do critical thinking. I saw that most blacks are short-sighted. I also saw that most black people tend to be more religious, either fetish religion or foreign religion. I saw a whole lot of difference comparing blacks to non-blacks. And I saw that also there are few among us who are totally different. So I tried to write a book about the behavior of most blacks, and especially most organic matter. Most white people tend to behave in a given way, or should I say most non-blacks, they have a common behavior compared to most blacks. And I thought it was essential to bring it in a book form to explain what I have experienced in my life. So this book came out. In fact, I will have to do a special work on this Most by Nature book. It's a very popular book that is read by a whole lot of people. You go to internet anywhere, Google, Yahoo, Amazon, Wikipedia, YouTube, name it, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere. You write name Asamoah Yaw, this book will show up. The public like it so much. They see that I'm telling the whole truth about our nature. But some people think Asamoah Yaw is not telling the truth. You know, I received a message from a lady, this is about 3 years ago, saying that he'd seen my picture and I resemble a real black person with my image, my nose, my mouth, my hair, my everything. And she's wondering why I'm saying most blacks are not intelligent as most non-blacks. And of course I'm black. By my experience with the variety of black people I met in Europe, the blacks I lived with in Africa, in Ghana, and the blacks who live in America, who are ancestors of former slave masters, slaves. I have lived among all of them, and I see a common identity, a common behavior when compared to non-blacks. And I think I have to bring this out as a book. And this originated from my intercourse with American blacks and the other blacks, which I thought I had to do a work on it. And this is a very comprehensive work. And here again, I'm not saying most blacks, I'm saying most by nature. By that, I was trying to refer to all organic matters. If I'm able to group humans into 4 different categories, I think I can categorize all organic matters into groups. For example, citrus. When we say citrus trees or citrus fruits, we're talking about oranges, lemon, lime, grapefruit, tangerine. They all belong to one family group, citrus group, but they come in different genetic content. Orange is not the same as lemon. Lemon is not the same as tangerine. is not the same as lime or grapefruit, but they all have a common denominator, a common organic matter, which makes them belong to the citrus group. The same thing applies to all humans. We all have common identity that makes us humans, but there are different chemistry in each group that I found it is very essential to write a book about it. Again, if you look at fishes in the sea, there are so many different types of fishes, but they are all categorized as fish. Again, we have different fishes in rivers, different in lakes, different in seas. They all have a common identity that makes them fishes, but each one has a different genetic content that defines its nature. If you observe the creatures in the air, the same thing. So many flying creatures, but you can group them, and you see that each group, even though they have the same identity as a bird, but each group has its own genetic content that differentiates it from the other flying birds. Well, you who is listening, you examine what I'm talking about. Trees also, we have mangoes of all kinds. We have avocados of all kinds, pawpaw of all kinds. We have pineapples of all kinds. We have bananas of all kinds. They all belong to one group, but each one has a particular unique genetic content, which makes it different. That is why I use the word most by nature. By nature, all organic matters are the same, at the same time, similar, at the same time, different. So in this book, I created a theory. I called it SED. S stands for similarities, E stands for equalities, and D stands for differences. All organic matters have this SED characteristics. But I'm trying to prove here that my type of people are naturally not made intelligent creatures compared to others. You read my book, you understand what I'm trying to say. Again, in my research, I came up with the first book was just an introduction to Kente history book. Because people were asking me so much questions, I delved deep. I went deep into research to find the significance and meanings and all the histories and cultures regarding Kente cloth. And I have this here as Kente cloth, History and Culture by Asamoah Yaw. I added a co-author who was a friend of mine. I just added his name to it. And it's Osebunsu Safukantanka. Yeah, so this is the result of my complete research of Kente cloth, which originally started with my business in America. So, America offers a very good opportunity for anyone who has ambition to do anything in the world. I would advise anybody who has a chance to go to live there to go with an ambition. And I guarantee that if you stay focused, there's nothing you cannot achieve if you go to live in that country. The other book which came out during my life in America is this book here, which I call Biography of the Biblical God. I saw the religious practices in Africa and practices in Europe, religious practices in America, and also looking at the racial groups, how they practice religion. I thought I had to go deep into it. And I wrote 2 books about religion. I think the first one is this one, Biography of the Biblical God. I had to write it because I got myself involved in reading the Holy Bible completely. The other book is over there. Can you get the other book for me? This biography of the biblical God came up after reading the Holy Bible completely. You know, one thing we're reading is, especially reading anything about religion, if you don't read religious books with clear conscience, you will not understand the details. So I try to wash all my belief system out of my mind and read the Holy Bible completely with clear conscience. And I found that in the Holy Bible, there are 3 different God characters, which I think I had to bring out for the public to reread that book again, especially Christians, to read the Holy Bible again and again and again to understand it. Don't just take it for granted. That is a holy or divine book. Holy book. It is not holy. They just gave it that title to camouflage you when you're reading. You know everything about it is spiritual, but it is not. Bible means books. It's a Hebrew word that means books. It is the Hebrews who wrote the Bible. And later on, a name was given to it as a holy or a divine work. It is not, it has nothing to do with divinity. If you read the content, you see that there are 3 different gods they are explaining here, which they make you understand that it's just one God. It is not true. There are 3 separate gods, characters in the Holy Bible. You find the first one in the book of Genesis, called the Creator. Then from Exodus all the way to Malachi, there's another God description which is totally different from the Genesis God. That God is called God of Israel. If you read Exodus all the way to Malachi, especially books like Deuteronomy chapter 32, I think I remember this. Deuteronomy chapter 32. There's a God description out there which says, I'm God for the Israelites. And I have made God or created God for other people. That God of Israel is not the same as the Creator God in the book of Genesis. I read it thoroughly and I want to explain that in this book. And there's another God description in the New Testament. You read New Testament, that God, people call it Jesus and or the Holy Trinity or whatever it is. It's a separate God altogether. There are 3 separate gods in the Holy Bible, in the Christian religions. They are totally different. They are not the same. But if you read it closely, you understand what I'm trying to say. So don't just say God is in heaven, he did this and that, and read it, you see that it's all fiction. None is real. Anyway, I leave it to you. You can get a copy from me or go to Google, you see that. And then I came out with this work. Big question. Do humans need God? The title is Big Question. Do humans need God? Now, if you read this book, you will realize that, or you see that I went deep into the religious studies. This was published, I think, I published it in 20. My memory is now getting very low, but I hope you guys will forgive me. I can't remember the last time when I published the book. I think it was published in 2012. 2012, just before I came back home from US. And this one too, I think this one came out before that. This is, I think, 2008. And this is 2012. Please forgive me. You know, I'm getting old and my memory is getting terrible. The book, oh dear. Asamoah Yaw. I'm trying to remember the exact publication date and I can't. My eyesight is getting bad. I can't see. But you can find this in Google and you know what I'm talking about. So the whole point here is I'm telling something about my life, especially my life in America. I went there with a curious mind, as I'm a curious person, and America exposed so much to me, and I was able to tap everything I need to make a living and also to create something for myself and also for the public to know a little bit about life in general. Yeah. But finally, I had to come back home. Came back in 2004 and settled in Kumasi. 2004, I think I was about 70, 72 or so. I forgot my age at the time. So now I'm on retirement. And I'm trying to write my biography, my life history. But the brain is not functioning as much or as well as I expected. Most of the cells are weak or dead. So this young man is helping me to tell my people that my story is, if my memory is okay, this is my life story or my biography as I remember it. I know I cannot remember everything, but I'm trying my best to recollect what I can. And hopefully the young people will listen and learn a little from my experience. Hopefully their life will be a lot better too. So, ladies and gentlemen, I won't go too far. I think I should end here. We shall continue next time. And thank you so much for your time.